we now need to look at the back row of holes. But first, here's a jingle. Easiest way of doing that is to actually fit this in position. Make sure that the bracket is square. Mark the hole. If we measure that distance, that is now going to come out at 292 millimeters from the front edge. The brackets will only go up to 110 millimeters. So we now need to reference from the back edge. I've drawn a second hole using exactly the same technique because I want to make sure that everything appears to be parallel. So I'm going to come in and measure that hole, and that is 107 millimeters, and this is 107 millimeters. So everything is accurate. I can now use this gauge, again the 0 line, and I can lock this in to 107, and I can lock this one in to 107. Lock the guides on. And now we can clamp everything down. I'm just going to come in and make a test cut on this hole here to see whether everything lines up. So it should be this hole here. And a second test cut on this hole here. If I've done my job correctly, they should line up. And it should be a square from the front edge. And it is. So we now know that this is looking pretty good. And check this one as well. Yep, and those holes line up, so I don't need to put that in. That's good. So the setup is now done for the back holes. We've done a couple of tests, so if it was wrong we could still save the day. Now we can rinse and repeat. Get all these holes cut on all the boards. So there we have it. All the holes are now drilled. We know they're all level, we know they're all in the right place, we know everything's going to fit perfectly. So not a bad morning's work. And to be honest with you, all of that took about an hour, maybe an hour and a quarter, once we got the thing set up. So yeah, pretty good. The next thing I want to do is I actually want to work out the length I want these final panels to be, because if you remember I made them 1024 to fit in with the LR32 system. We don't yet know how that's going to work. So I'm going to take our layout diagram, check out the website if you want a copy so you can see what I've done. And I just want to lay out one of these towers here just to see where it actually fits. And just line that up to the bottom, and I'll flush it up to the edge here. Next we want a sys-2. I'll line it up to the next available hole, and again I'll line the foot up to that, roughly in the centre, and I'll flush the front up. Then I want a sys-1. So there we have it. We actually now know that our design will work. I can now look at this end here and work out the length I need for the end of for the overall height of my board. And that's the mark that we just made. Now I don't want that to be flush against the top, so I want to add some distance to that. probably 10 millimeters to that. So therefore that is the length I now want all of my boards. Just a word of note, I made sure I trimmed the top of each panel. If you trim the bottom by mistake, your holes are going to be out of alignment. I want to secure the panels to the base using both dominos and pocket hole joinery. The dominos are going to give me a bit of strength, but it's also going to allow me to line things up, but the pocket holes are really going to give me the security that I need. I'm using the Kreg jig in order to do my pocket holes. I've set up the bit to round about 18 millimeters, just under 9, and this is all clamped down and it's ready to go. With the pocket holes cut, we can now go ahead and assemble our panels on the sysport. And there we have it. The panels are now fit, secured. The screws will hold the dominoes in place while they dry, and that will make a solid construction. Now we need to make sure that each of these dividers are square and the distance allows for our dummy drawer. I'm going to come in with a level the side off, and screw it to the back wall. Now we've got the reference piece, I can use my dummy drawer to just give me the gaps and the sizings I need. I'll simply clamp this into position using a couple of extra hands. Make sure I am flush to the top. And that's now set the distance, and we know because we're using the dummy drawer that's the same as the distance on the base, so that will fit all the way down. And we just work our way along now, fastening this to the wall as we go. In theory, our dummy drawer should now fit neatly and squarely into any of these holes. And it does. And it does. It does. And it does. Job's good. Job's a good one. With these in position, we now want to go ahead and cut the top to length. Remember, the top's going to come 50mm forward to give me a 50mm overhang at the front, and we'll cut our bull nose. See you next time.